I'm Dan Ackerman, and we are here with the Asus EP121. That is something that's pretty rare these days. It's a Windows 7 tablet. We first saw this guy back at CES 2011. We've seen a few bouncing around Europe. They're actually pretty hard to find in the US right now. It's a little bit different from most of the other Windows tablets that we've seen in some very good ways. First of all, instead of being super underpowered, it's actually got an Intel Core i5 CPU in it. Now, it's not the current, what they call the Sandy Bridge version with better built-in graphics and really high-end performance. It's last year's ultra-low voltage version, but it's still a huge step up from most of the tablets that we've seen that run Windows that usually have something like an Intel Atom in them that make them virtually unusable. This also has a bigger screen than a lot of tablets. A lot of the tablets are 7 inches, 9 inches. This is a 12-inch display. It's got this cool edge-to-edge glass over it that's very nice. Does pick up fingerprints pretty easily, however. You know all that anti-fingerprint stuff they have on like the iPad screen? Well, there's none of that here. That said, it's a good size for watching movies, and it is a pretty decent size for working on for longer periods, almost like a 13-inch laptop, which is probably the smallest size screen we consider, for all-day use. Now, along with the touchscreen tablet, you also get a bundled Bluetooth keyboard that matches up very nicely design-wise, and of course it connects wirelessly through Bluetooth. And you can use this keyboard, or of course it's got the standard Windows on-screen keyboard right here, which is not the best on-screen keyboard in the world, but it's one that pretty much every Windows touchscreen tablet has. Your mileage with it may vary. The EP121 feels a lot zippier than pretty much every other Windows tablet we've used thanks to that Core i5, and in fact you can even go into a web browser and do finger scrolling like this, something that you can't do in a lot of Windows-based tablets. We only got this to work in Internet Explorer. It wouldn't work in Chrome for us. And then there's some art programs built in. You could do some sketching in here if you feel like it. And, obviously you could stream Hulu through it pretty easily. It's not going to get too stuttery because of that powerful CPU. Connection-wise, you've got a couple of USB ports over here on the side. They're under these little covers right here. You've also got HDMI and an SD card slot, and there's a volume rocker here on the side. And if you tilt it, it should reorient itself. There's a little lock switch you can put on, so it won't do that if you don't want it to. Obviously, it doesn't flip as fast as some non-Windows tablets do. As far as Windows tablets go, it's actually one of the cooler looking ones we've seen thanks to the edge-to-edge glass, the metal front bezel, and the back is plastic but still looks pretty good. It's also a lot lighter than you'd think, especially considering it's a lot of glass and metal on the front side of it. Now,
you can see it's got a very attractive design. It's got an aluminum edge here all the way around. That's the that's the SD card slot right here. We have a 16 gig card in place. We've got 2 USB ports under fiddly little doors. You have fingernail pop holes here to get them out. You've got an HDMI port. It's a mini HDMI port, your headphone mic combined jack. This also has stereo speakers and a mic built in. And you got your volume controls right here and the teeny charging port. Over here is the power slider, and this is a button that pops up the on-screen keyboard whenever you need it. Pretty handy. And this is a rotation lock. So you can see we've got air vents here as well on the bottom. And this is a pop-out door where the EMR pen lives. And it's a Wacom tablet, which means good things for drivers when it comes to Photoshop and all that. The back is plastic, kind of a little pattern on here. Stays remarkably cool. Hot air does not come piping out the vents massively. The fan is generally quiet. And whatever this back is made of, it does a very good job dissipating heat. Right here we have a 2 megapixel webcam, and it works really well with Skype. Some of the best quality video we've ever seen for Skype video calls. Likewise, the speakers are quite loud, and the microphone is very good as well. The E-Slate comes with this keyboard. It's one of those ergonomic curved keyboards with a large N key. Nonetheless, we found it pretty easy to type on. This is a Bluetooth keyboard, and it's actually a rebranded Microsoft keyboard. So nice to have that in the box. They are not pre-paired, so when you boot it up, you're going to have to pair them together. But it's quite a nice keyboard, and it's fairly compact, as you can see, relative to the size of the tablet. And it's a very thin keyboard, too. It's powered by 2 AA batteries. Of course, batteries are included. And there is a pairing button on the back and an on-off switch. So the keyboard will go to sleep if you're not using it. In fact, when you first boot up Windows on this, you usually have to hit the arrow key a couple of times to wake up the keyboard, too. Another thing that's quite nice about this, you can probably tell even in the video where displays can wash out, especially in our bright studios, this has a AFFS display. That's Advanced Fringe Field Switching. That's a similar technology to IPS, and in some ways it's better because it's transflective. That means you can actually see this outdoors. It's great for vertical workers and folks who like to sketch outdoors. Washes out a little bit, but it's still very usable. Running with this big button here this is the arrow switcher button, and this brings up everything that you're doing, and if you press and hold on it, it does a Control-Alt-Delete, which is handy if you don't have the keyboard available. So how does this display compare to some other tablets? Now granted, I would say this is a Windows 7 tablet, so this is for people who want to do serious, real computer kind of work here, not just for content consumption. But here it is next to the Motorola Zoom, which is jacked up to maximum brightness. You can see it's a bit sharper and clearer. Obviously there's a difference in size. The Motorola Zoom is 10.1 inches. Next we'll compare it to the new iPad 2, 9.7 inch, again for content consumption, not for full computing experience. And in terms of screens, we're really up there quite as good as the IPS, I would say, with the fringe field switching on the Asus. There is one more included accessory with this tablet, and that is a portfolio case. Asus is always good at giving you accessories. It's a leather style case. It smells a lot at first, but it does wear off. And this is a portfolio case. As you can see here, there are flip-ups, so you can stand it up and use it in the case. Very handy, and it also protects it well. And no, it doesn't overheat while it's in this case. Pretty nice to have that included.